Got
Okay.
it.
All right. Well, nice to meet you. To start off with, would you like to say your name and where you are?
My name is David Lee, and I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Okay. And the first question is, who are you as a human being? And that can be anything you'd like to share in terms of your values, your passions, qualities about yourself, whatever you'd like.
Well, that's a tricky question. It's almost existential. Well, who am I as a human being? I think I define myself mostly through my faith, and I am a Christian, and so I do believe I am created by God. I think that's my primary identity. I'm a child of immigrants. My mom is Taiwanese, my dad is Malaysian, Chinese. I was born in Hong Kong. I came and I lived in Toronto for maybe more than 25 years. So I call this home. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
That's okay. So what would you say are some of like the central values in your life? How do you orient yourself? What do you, I don't know, move around in terms of values?
Okay. Well, these are really big questions that I could write treatises on. I think love. Well, cycling back to the idea of faith again, it's like I do feel that I'm loved, and I think human beings are loved, and in response, it motivates us to love others. I think that's what I try to orientate my life. Like spend my life well, do some good, living it. Yeah. That's in the most basic sense. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of like theology behind that. And,
yeah.
This may be like a Gestalt therapist question, but what do you mean by faith? What is faith for you?
I think it's a trust. It's more about, it's less about a intellectual assent, but more about a active trust in a being, in a person. And of course, that person to me is God and is Jesus. Yeah. So it's relational in that sense, and perhaps that's why Gestalt is attractive to me in that sense. That's a beginning where I felt very drawn by the influence by Martin Buber, the I and Thou relationships and the phenomenological aspect of spirituality and the relationship with God and human. Yeah, so that's how everything's come together. Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say are some of the passions in your life? What are some of the things that would bring you joy or that you really feel yourself doing?
In general, I like learning. So anything to do with learning, all kinds of learning, trying new things. I like reading. I like reading a lot. Lately, I'm obsessed with movies. I'm exploring more about doing things with my hands, so making things, building things, fixing things. I think those are the things that give me the that draws me in the most. Yeah. Or simply just not doing anything, contemplating or enjoying the environment. And,
Being. It sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Well, what about other human beings? Who would you say are some of the people, or maybe the one person who comes to mind right now, as having been very significant influences on you in your life in some way?
Also, very hard question.
This is the one where they go, oh no, I don't want to leave anybody out.
Wow, that's difficult. That's really difficult. Because it's almost like, because different phases of life, there's different peoples, and there's always multiple relationships that really kind of inspired or lifted me in certain ways. Wow. Okay, I'm having trouble. I think the faith aspect is obvious enough. Like, I don't think I need to say too much about it. But like, yeah, it is a centrality in my life. That God and Jesus is a person in my life, being the inspiration and motivation and constant support.
And did you meet that faith through your family or through a time and place in your life where there were other people? Or
yeah, so yeah, my parents are first generation to become Christians, so they came to faith in the university or graduate school, and I was born in it, but it was a personal encounter, personal experience, very spiritual experience in my, I can say, preteens that kind of pushed me to a completely different direction. So I think that if that's one factor, that's one of the most significant encounter or like experience that I have.
would you like to say more about it, or?
There's so much to say that I don't know how to pick. I mean, editing is always the hardest part. I think it's so important to me, like I'm speaking from my perspective of present now, that that I'm not alone, that that there is meaning and there is purpose, and I'm connected, and this kind of breaks out from my like very self-centered and self view, and the expansiveness of it actually gives me a lot of breathing space, like makes me feel full as a being. Instead of just focusing on my current problems or current situations. Yeah. So I think that's a 40-year-old self talking about it. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm sure at different phase I think differently about it.
Okay. Well, would you say that there has been a particular event or a set of circumstances in your life that has really shifted or changed who you are in some way?
I think Gestalt training. Gestalt training is it's the best training that I ever had. Best human training that I have. I think, like most people who are part of the milieu, that I'm very much affected by the forces of our culture and modernity, and I lost in touch in terms of some of the very basic feel of being a human, like you know, taking full stock of my embodiment, my sensations, my feelings, and I think Gestalt training gave me that integrating experience where it's like, oh, all of a sudden bring everything together. It's like it makes sense again. Right? Yeah.
Okay. So you also just briefly mentioned your age.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how you are experiencing yourself at this point in your life and what your thoughts or feelings around the aging process are.
So to be exact, I'm 44. And I think I passed that stage where I have that anxiety. I think moving to 40 and a little bit post 40, that was the very anxious part, where the questions about, oh, what have I done, and how am I gonna live, right? Like if I live to 80, that's like the halfway mark, right? So, but now, I think now at this moment talking to you, I feel much more at peace, and I feel because I don't more and more I feel like there are things I would like to do, but I don't feel like there's an agenda that I need to accomplish. Like I'm not in a competition, or these are not things that I need to do or I should do, but I am who I am right now, and I just follow the course what I do, do do what I can, and kind of just see what happens next. I don't know what happens, but that's how I feel right now. Yeah.
That sounds fair. So another question about a different part of yourself is, how would you say that you understand and experience yourself within your gender or your masculinity or as a man, or however you would define yourself?
Mm. Mm. Oh, I never think about it, so I need to think about it a little bit. It is a very hard question, yeah, to say. I mean, but in a nutshell, is I think whatever is coming from my head right now. I feel. So there's some violence in my home growing up, which is very typical in an Asian family, and uh, I think most of my life I reacted with kind of like a phobic about aggression, about emotions like anger and violence. So so I guess I become like I reacted as a very gentle, like and meek being, and very agreeable, very nice, you can say. But I'm also like right now, I guess I'm also, trying to take account of those experience again, and like how to access those emotions and yeah, just to feel those emotions in my life. So I'm in the becoming, and in that sense. Yeah.
Sort of in that deconstruction and reconstruction process.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
That's interesting. There's just something that sort of ties into the next question for me about, strength without violence, maybe being a part of it. So what I was going to ask you is actually how you experience and understand power and privilege in your life.
These are all very difficult questions. I think I'm going to repeat this for every question. Well, I am a very privileged person in the sense that I'm given opportunities and resources that very few percentage of people in the world have. I'm living in a very peaceful, prosperous place. I'm free to pursue my dreams or what my endeavor. But I know this is a deeply unjust world. Like there's a lot of injustice happening, and I do experience a bit of oppression and discrimination in my lifetime. Right? Like in my 25 plus years in Canada, it's there were different degrees of violence, and like racial slur, some shoving around, or the fear of the skinheads, neo-Nazi. But it did happen, like even in a very peaceful, very society. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah. So yeah. So it's kind of both. It's like it is challenging to to be an Asian sometimes, and but I know I'm deeply, like I'm very privileged, like I'm very lucky in a lot of ways. Yeah.
And what about the power part of that? How do you experience or don't experience power in your life?
Power in what sense? Power in what sense?
Yeah, I mean, people answer this in very different ways, depending on, where they feel they have or don't have power, what they use it for, how they found it, how they've lost it.
Okay. I mean, there's different sense of it. Like I don't know if it makes sense saying, but I mean, I guess how I experience power. Obviously, one way is my agency in my life, in the world. I have a part to play, and but when you talk about sometimes like where does that empowerment come from? So that's where it goes beyond myself and it goes into the realm of like my faith, where I felt God, empowered me, in different circumstances, like different very difficult times, or to do very hard things, and to yeah, or yeah. Um, yeah, and of course, it's experience power being done to us, right? Like power upon us, and um, yeah,
Yeah,
um,
it's okay. It's okay.
which affect my sense of agency sometimes, like by being part of institutions.
Yeah, there's often this sort of awareness of, okay, I'm part of this system, but I don't think I have a lot of power in it, right?
Mhm.
So switching tracks a little bit, how did you come to Gestalt? Where did you find it? Where did you meet it in your life? Or how did that happen for you?
Um, so so I feel quite stuck at a certain point in my life. So it was around 2010 fall. That's when I signed up for a 1-year training for professionals. So I was at that time I was a campus minister. Um, but prior to that, so how did I come across it? It's mostly because of my mentor. My mentor finished the Gestalt training program in Toronto. So she invited some of us to me and my other friends to some of her workshops. Took We went one, we had loads of fun, and then I took another on my own, and then I sense I want something to some sort of challenge in my life, and um, something to unstuck myself, and so that's how I started. I did not plan to be a therapist, but I meet really good people in the program, and then so 1 year become 2 years, it become 3 years, and then 4 years, and then I become a registered therapist. Yeah.
It's funny how that happens.
Yeah.
So you said you met good people, but
Yeah.
what else did you find there? What was attractive for you within Gestalt? Was there a particular, I don't know, piece of theory that made sense for you, like in life, or what is it that you discovered?
I think what struck me was the feeling, the experience of being seen. That was the first thing that kind of shifted how I feel about therapy in general. I mean, I experienced therapy or counseling in uni when I had a depressive episode, and I went through um, some are more Rogerian counseling, and some are more like CBT type, and none of those I felt really seen. But it was the first year when I was just trying things out. Like all of a sudden, in a particular moment, I felt, oh my goodness, I felt seen, and I'm like, this is powerful stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So how would you say that Gestalt and being seen affected you as a person? What's happened to you through this?
I think it propels me to a completely different realm. It's I mean, my late teacher Joanne, says, it's just about being comfortable in your own skin, and I think that's what happened. Being comfortable with who I am in my own skin, and then that's a starting point, and then I begin to receive people more in my life, receive less resistant to relationships and intimacy with people. And, that's what happened. And obviously the general sense of being alive and being aware and loving it.
Nice. So what would you say is the essence of what you do with Gestalt? I mean, you mentioned being or having been a minister. Do you combine those? Do you have like a pastoral kind of practice, or what do you do?
I left ministry just recently, so there's a big shift for me. But the essence is the same in two sense, right? First sense is I am working with people, and it's and the good thing about being phenomenal logical focus is that in some way it's not value laden. So it's the same relationship, same humanity, wherever you are, where you just give you more resources in terms of awareness in the moment, right? So that's one sense. The other sense is when we are more aware in a phenomenological way, it does transform your spirituality in a way, because it is also a relationship, with God as a high being, and it's a very personal relationship. And of course, that in turn, right, it also transformed the way I related to the world, the creation, nature, right? As a so that's the connecting piece, yeah.
Okay. And so in your practice, is it a private practice? Do you work with any particular communities or projects, or where do you do what you do?
So right now it's private practice. And I've been doing that for in a very small way for maybe like maybe 7 years, 8 years. But I have interned in some institutions, and so right now it's pretty open-ended in terms of like, yeah, but my initial goal is always to have them to be exposed and to have the most experience in different type of clients or experiences, because that makes me a better therapist in a way. It's like instead of pigeonhole in a particular way, yeah. So in the past I have worked with obviously I work with a lot of Asian Canadians and international students. Also I have worked with in an institution where the mature students self-identify with addiction and mental health problems. Yeah, I work with students a lot, different types of students. Yeah.
So I mean, you said obviously you work with these people. Is this because that would be just an affinity with your own life story, or why do you think it's obvious that they would work with you?
Oh, I mean, being an Asian Canadian, I think that's my starting point. That's my starting point. That's where my connections and how I want to contribute and serve like initially come from. Um, and just to help other people like to land better, like in Canadian society. Yeah.
Yeah. And would you say that there's underrepresentation or an underservice towards the Asian community in the mental health field?
I don't think I can give a fair comment, but the general sense is, in terms of the Asian populations, I think the general awareness is still lower than you can say maybe the national average. I don't know. But I see because I work with young people more, right? So, but the young people, their awareness and the know-how about how to access services, and it's a lot more. It's a lot more than, let's say, their parents' generations. So it depends who you ask.
Of course, yeah. So what challenges would you say that you have faced, especially in your Gestalt training and your practice? What have been the most difficult things for you?
I think personal growth, like facing myself, I think that's the hardest. Yeah, facing myself.
I'm just smiling with you. And nobody can do anything worse to you than what you've done to yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is like, yeah, I'm not very good in the business aspect of the practice. I mean, it is a challenge, but
and that's one of those things that's not very often addressed in training. It's like, we'll give you the skills to do it, but not the knowledge to set up the scaffolding for a practice or the legalities to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, so I am scrambling.
It's difficult.
Right,
it's difficult.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've met so many therapists around the world, and often there's so much potential, there's so many great ideas, there's so much talent. And it's just that little, that course on business administration that's missing to help us be able to actually, put the logic together to do this.
That's right. Yeah.
It's interesting. Huh. So do you feel like you're part of a Gestalt community? Does that phrase mean anything to you?
I don't think in that terms a lot, but I know that for people who've gone through Gestalt training, it's a very special type of people. And there's a common language when I meet others, even in international settings. They're, oh, okay, you went through that training, and so I guess that's how it is. Yeah, it's like I don't think about it a lot, but I know there's something special about meeting another Gestaltist. Yeah, along the way.
So what would you say would be one of your highlights or one of your greatest memories from within sort of your Gestalt context? Either a particular moment, because it's interesting doing the Laura interviews, people can remember, the exact moment that someone said something to them, and they can remember the exact words 50 years later. Like, would you say that there has been like a significant moment, and this can be, a little storytelling or whatever you'd like, just what comes up to you now?
I don't think there's one significant moment, but it's like a general sense. I can say that I feel loved. I feel love in the community, and it is a labor of love from my teacher. And the specific memories, like my late teacher Joanne, it's like a grandmother that we never have. Like sometimes just a very gentle touch or leaning into you, like that you sort of just remember. It's like, oh, I wished that support is here right now. And I think friendships, there's a lot of memories in friendships in the training, like very, very raw, very human connection, interactions, which in real life you might not be friends because you don't intersect, but because you're in a training and you see each other in a different light, and like you open up.
Okay. So where would you say that you see yourself going with this? Do you have any particular projects that are coming up, or a little bit of a vision for yourself or for Gestalt going forward?
I think the general trajectory is, but I feel like it's so, it sounds so cliche-ish. It's like, it's just want to be a better human being.
That's not cliche. Actually, almost nobody said that. So,
be a better human being, be more aware, alive, like be a better therapist, better support to others. Bring people together. Deepening relationships, building communities, I think. And those are things that I think I will continue to work on until the day I die.
Okay. Well, is there anything that you feel you'd like to add at this point about yourself, or about anything we've talked about, or anything we've left out?
Well, now that, yeah, I guess that's one thing. That's one thing I didn't say in the last question is, I just got accepted to a training to become a spiritual director. So I mean, there's a very keen interest in me to integrate spirituality with Gestalt's phenomenological approach. Very embodied presence. Yeah. So I guess, yeah, that'd be something coming up very soon.
That sounds exciting. It's very common in Mexico, because we have a really large Catholic community, right? And so a lot of the students who come into the Gestalt trainings are, some way associated with religious communities, right? So we get a lot of priests, a lot of nuns, spiritual directors, and also, parts of the Christian faith and other things like that. So that there's a lot of common interest sort of in that intersection. So I'm excited for you. Does it feel lonely for you doing this, or do you feel like there's a lot of other people who are interested in sort of exploring that intersection, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, I think it's challenging. It is challenging because in some way it's challenging in two ways. It's like overall in the, you can say, in the Gestalt community, or like it generally it's not super friendly to faith, like, or people with religious faith, or as so if in some way you feel like you're already on a fringe in the other way, and then on the other hand, within the faith community, right, within Christianity, like for people who are more interested into integration, embodied experience of spirituality, like you are also on another fringe, right? So it could be, yeah, I do feel I'm charting uncharted territory, and but I deeply believe that it's so much needed in this world, and it is yeah, I don't know what to make of it, but like I look forward to try it out.
It sounds exciting. I'm happy for you. I'm happy to also share, some resources of some of the other people who are very, very dedicated to doing that kind of work. So, all right. Well, is it okay for you if we leave this conversation here for now then? It's been really nice to meet you. I've enjoyed seeing Toronto in the background as well.
Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah, I just maybe feel dreadful to see what it turns out.
You know what it is? It's a human being, having a conversation. That's all any of us are. So thank you very much for doing this.
Okay, thanks, Heather.